A 16-year-old kid stood in front of France in a European Championship semifinal, took one touch onto his left foot, and bent the ball into the top corner like he had been doing it on the biggest stage for 10 years. Not in training, not in a friendly, not against some weak defense. France, a knockout semifinal. Kylian Mbappe on the other side, the whole football world watching. Lamine Yamal was still young enough to be doing schoolwork between games, and he had just scored the kind of goal that makes grown defenders stare at the grass because there is nothing else to look at. That was the moment football stopped treating him like a cute story and started treating him like a problem. But the craziest part is this. That goal was not even the beginning of the hype. It was just the first time the rest of the world finally understood what Barcelona had been hiding. Because Lamine Yamal is not normal. Every few years, football tells you it has found the next superstar, the next Messi, the next Neymar, the next impossible teenager. Most of those stories disappear. The pressure gets too heavy, the body breaks down, the confidence fades, or the defenders figure them out. But Yamal is different because he did not arrive with one viral clip and a few stepovers. He arrived with control. He arrived with timing. He arrived with the kind of calm that makes no sense for his age. When the ball comes to him on the right side, he does not panic. He does not rush, and he does not play like a kid trying to prove he belongs. He plays like everyone else on the pitch is moving slower than him. That is what makes him dangerous. Speed is not rare in football. Skill is not rare either. There are thousands of academy players who can dribble cones, embarrass kids their own age, and make highlight reels look beautiful. Yamal's gift is different. He knows when to stop. He knows when to freeze a defender. He knows when to wait half a second longer than everyone expects, and that half second is where the whole game opens. The fullback leans one way, the center back steps too far, the midfielder arrives late, and suddenly Yamal is inside the defense with his left foot ready. It looks simple until you remember he was doing it before most players are trusted to start senior matches. To understand why this kid looks so comfortable under pressure, you have to go back to where he came from. Yamal grew up in the Rocafonda area, a place that became part of his identity before the football world knew his name. This was not a kid raised inside football luxury from day one, protected from every hard edge of life. He came from a real neighborhood, with real noise, real pressure, and real people who understood struggle. And that matters because when he plays, there is a street football feeling in his game. Not careless, not wild, but free. He plays with that little bit of arrogance every winger needs, the belief that if you give him the ball and one defender, the defender is already in trouble. Barcelona saw it early. La Masia has seen almost every type of talent. Kids with touch, kids with vision, kids with perfect passing angles, kids who look like future stars at 12 and are forgotten by 18. So Barcelona do not get fooled easily. But with Yamal, the signs were impossible to ignore. He had the left foot. He had the balance. He had the courage to attack defenders again and again. More importantly, he had the decision-making. That is the piece that separates a YouTube player from a real footballer. A YouTube player dribbles because he wants applause. A real footballer dribbles because it breaks the opponent. Yamal was already doing the second one. Then Barcelona brought him closer and closer to the first team, and that is where the danger started. Because once a teenager touches the Barcelona first team, the world does not wait patiently. The comparisons start immediately. The camera follows every warm-up. Every pass gets clipped. Every mistake gets slowed down. Every good moment becomes proof that he is the next chosen one. And because he is left-footed, because he came through Barcelona, because he plays from the right and bends the game inside, the Messi comparison was always going to come. It is unfair. It is almost impossible. But football does not care about fair. Football sees a kid like Yamal and instantly asks the most dangerous question in the sport. How close can he get? The answer became harder to ignore every time he stepped onto the pitch. At 15, he was already around Barcelona's senior team. At 16, he was not just getting minutes, he was changing games. Defenders who were supposed to bully him could not get close enough. Fullbacks who thought they could show him down the line found out he could beat them either way. Midfielders who tried to double him realized that if they moved too early, he would pass through the gap they left behind. He was still a teenager, but opponents were already building plans around him. That is when you know a player is different. Not when fans love him, not when commentators praise him, when the other team changes its whole shape because of him. Then came Euro 2024, and everything exploded. Spain entered that tournament needing a new identity, a new spark, and a new reason to believe. Yamal was supposed to be a wonderkid, a bonus weapon, the type of player you protect and use carefully. Instead, he became one of the most important players in the entire tournament. Against grown men, against elite defenders, against countries with decades of tournament experience, he kept demanding the ball. He did not hide, he did not drift through games waiting for safe touches. He attacked, he created, he made defenders back up, and every time he did it, the pressure got bigger. The France goal was the turning point because it had everything: the opponent, the stage, the age, the technique, the audacity. France gave him a little pocket of space, the kind elite players usually need 1 second to punish, and Yamal punished it like a superstar. He cut inside, shaped his body, and curled the ball where the goalkeeper could only watch. The strike was beautiful, but the real story was the confidence behind it. Most teenagers in that moment would look for the safe pass. Most teenagers would feel the weight of the semifinal. Yamal looked at the biggest moment of his life and decided it belonged to him. That is the line between talent and mentality. Talent gets you to the moment. Mentality decides whether you do something with it. Yamal did something with it. Spain won the Euros. He became one of the faces of the tournament. The youngest player records, the assists, the goal, the award, the celebrations. Everything started stacking up so quickly that people almost forgot how young he was. That is the scary part. His age became a headline so often that it started to feel normal. But none of this is normal. A 16-year-old becoming decisive for Spain is not normal. A teenager forcing elite defenders to double-team him is not normal. Barcelona building its next era around someone who still has not reached physical maturity is not normal. But football has a cruel way of turning miracles into expectations. After Euro 2024, Yamal was no longer allowed to just be exciting. He had to deliver. Every match became a judgment. If he scored, people called him the future. If he assisted, people said he was already world-class. If he had a quiet game, the same people asked if the hype had gone too far. That is the impossible position he lives in now. He is judged like a superstar while still developing like a teenager. He is praised like a finished product while his body is still changing. And that is where the story becomes dangerous. Because the body is the one part of the story that does not care about hype. Muscles do not care that you are trending. Hamstrings do not care that Barcelona needs you. Recovery does not care that Spain fans are desperate. Yamal's rise has been so fast that the biggest threat might not be a defender. It might be the calendar. Club football, international football, tournament football, travel, pressure, media, expectations, and every opponent trying to hit him early before he gets rhythm. That is a lot for any winger. For an 18-year-old, it is brutal. And that is why his World Cup story matters so much. By 2026, Lamine Yamal is not some mystery prospect anymore. Everybody knows him. Every defender has watched the clips. Every coach has a plan. Every fan expects something. Spain's opening match against Cape Verde turned into exactly the kind of moment that shows how big his role has become. The game was stuck. Spain could not break through. Cape Verde defended with discipline and refused to give them anything easy. But the camera did not just focus on Spain's system. It found Yamal, because everyone understood that the most dangerous solution was sitting there, waiting. When he came on, the spotlight did not move to him because Spain were the story. It moved to him because he was the story. That is the correction. Spain were frustrated, yes, but the reason that moment mattered was Yamal. An 18-year-old coming back from injury was still the player people expected to change the emotional temperature of a World Cup match. Not because of reputation alone, but because of what happens when he receives the ball. The crowd leans forward, the defender steps back. The second defender starts cheating over. And for a few seconds, everyone knows the same thing. If something is going to happen, it might come from his left foot. That is superstar gravity. Some players need goals to influence games. Yamal can influence a game before he even shoots. He changes where defenders stand. He changes how midfielders cover. He changes how quickly a fullback wants help. That is why his value is bigger than highlights. A defender who is scared of being embarrassed gives up space. A midfielder who slides over leaves another teammate free. A center back who steps out creates a lane behind him. Yamal creates problems even when he does not touch the ball, because opponents are already thinking about what happens when he does. But here is the uncomfortable question. Is football asking too much from him too early? Because the same things that make him special also make him vulnerable. He is brave on the ball, which means defenders will kick him. He wants responsibility, which means coaches will give him more minutes. He can change matches, which means fans will demand him even when his body needs protection. That is how young stars get trapped. Everyone says they want to protect the prodigy until the team is desperate. Then, suddenly, protection becomes optional. Yamal has to survive that. He has to become stronger without losing the lightness in his game. He has to learn when to attack and when to rest inside a match. He has to handle the Messi comparisons without letting them swallow his own identity. Because the goal is not to become another Messi. That is impossible and unfair. The goal is to become the first Lamine Yamal, a winger who carries Barcelona and Spain in his own way, with his own rhythm, his own edge, and his own story. And the story is still wide open. That is what makes this video important. We are not looking back at a finished legend. We are watching the dangerous middle part, the part where the hype is real, but the ending is not guaranteed. He has already done things teenagers are not supposed to do. He has already scored the kind of goal most players never score. He has already made defenders treat him like a superstar. He has already made Barcelona believe. He has already made Spain look toward him when things get tight. Now the question is whether his body, his mind, and his game can handle the next level of expectation. If he stays healthy, this could become one of the defining players of the next decade. Not because he is famous, not because he is marketable, because his football forces you to watch. Every time the ball finds him on the right, there is a little pause in the match, like the whole stadium is waiting to see what decision he makes. That pause is rare. Only special players create it. Yamal already has it before his prime. So here is the question. By the end of this World Cup, does Lamine Yamal become the player every American soccer fan is talking about? Does he turn one moment, one defender, one left-footed strike into the next chapter of his rise? Or is the football world putting too much weight on an 18-year-old before he is even close to finished? Drop it in the comments, because if Lamine Yamal is already making defenders this scared now, imagine what happens when he is 21. And remember, he is doing all of this while the world is still trying to decide what he is allowed to be. Too young to carry a nation, but too good to leave on the bench. Too raw to be called finished, but too dangerous to treat like a normal prospect. That contradiction is the whole story of Lamine Yamal right now.